Good afternoon. I call to order this regular meeting of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority this Wednesday, May the 23rd. Before we go into closed session, we take a roll call.
From the City of Colton, please state your name for the record.
Richard De La Rosa.
Thank you. From the City of Loma Linda.
Ovi Popescu.
Thank you. From the City of Highland.
Penny Lilburn.
Thank you. And from the City of San Bernardino.
Carrie Davis.
Fred Charette.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak on any closed session items?
No, sir.
Thank you. Anything to add to closed session?
Nothing to add, sir.
All right, thank you. We will reconvene here upon the conclusion of closed session. We're now back into open session, and I'll ask the attorney if we have any reportable action.
There was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you. Yes, we have Councilmember Marquez attended and Councilman Woods that have now come to the dais. We'll ask Councilman Shred if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please all rise.
Thank you, Mayor. Would you all join me as we pledge allegiance to our country? Again, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Any conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
Mayor, I have one on item 7. 7. 6 or 7? 6.
Item number 6? All right.
Yes, 6.
As well as I have one on item number 6 also. Anything to be added?
Nothing to be added, sir.
All right. Now move to informational items.
Only just a reminder, in my info report last week, the weekly update, we got great news confirmed this week that thanks to our partnership with San Manuel and the state of Highland, $1.7 million of SB1 money will be flowing back through our partners at the IVDA to offset the local match on our 3rd and 5th Street grant. So happy to see that come back to the region.
Very
That
good.
concludes my report.
Thank you for that. Next, we have items 3, 4, and 5 of consent calendar. We have a motion. We have a second. Any opposed?
Who's second?
Councilmember Marquez.
You can't.
Yeah, you're actually
You can't
just
right now.
holding off for now. Remember,
You can
there's
only
already
vote on
2 of them
item
here. There's
6.
only one of them leaves.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any opposed? Seeing none, it's so approved. Thank you. Now, Councilman Schrett and myself will leave for item number 6. And I'll turn the time over to Vice Chair, Secretary Popescu.
All right, thank you. This item number 6, which is to ratify an award of contract with Brickley Construction Company for environmental services for hangar 795 in the amount not to exceed $130,901. And Mr. Gibbs will make a short presentation.
Thank you. We're seeking ratification of an award to Brickley Environmental Services in the amount of $138,901 for environmental remediation services for hangar 795 at the San Bernardino International Airport.
Thank you. Do I see a motion?
Second.
Heard a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's so ordered. And we'll move on to December before they get back? No. We'll bring them back. Sorry. I offered to keep going, but nobody jumped on it, so.
All right, thank you, Secretary. Next is item number 7. This is to ratify the award of a contract with Industrial Electrical Manufacturing for the purchase of electrical equipment for hangar number 795 in an amount not to exceed $150,000. Who's giving that report?
Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
This item would ratify a contract with Industrial Electric Manufacturing for high-voltage electrical equipment needed for necessary improvements to Hangar 795 at the airport. Long overdue project and in need of quick action to update the existing high-voltage electrical equipment inside this hangar.
You say you need quick action?
Yes.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Any opposed? Seeing none, so ordered. Thank you. Next is number 8. This is an agreement between the San Bernardino International Airport Authority and the City of San Bernardino for police services.
Ms. Pritchett.
Good evening. The current master services agreement that the airport has with the city of San Bernardino, the airport funds a full-time sergeant, San Bernardino sergeant, who is assigned to the airport, who currently oversees a staff of approximately 30 part-time officers in the administrative functions of the airport security division. In working with airport admin, the police chief, and the city manager, we have come up with a new security model for the airport. The proposed agreement before you today would eliminate the funding of the sergeant and replace that with a partial funding of an a San Bernardino Police Department captain to serve as a liaison to the airport to maintain the police department law enforcement relationship and allow us to have higher internal controls of our airport security division at the airport. So the current proposal in front of you would be in agreement with the city of San Bernardino to maintain our law enforcement relationship, partially fund a captain position, and provide training for the San Bernardino Police Department officers to be trained with the airport itself, as well as some additional aviation training in the event of an emergency here at the airport. We do have an assigned captain who is here to answer questions, who has since left, but I'm happy to answer any questions about this agreement.
I believe this has already been approved by the City of San Bernardino.
Correct, it was
Correct.
approved last Wednesday.
Thank you.
I'll second with a quick
Councilman
question.
Fescue?
Was it my understanding that changing this model would actually bring some savings to the airport? But so far, from what I'm looking at the staff report, it sounds like it's almost the same. So can you clarify, are we saving some money by going through this model, or are we not?
It seems to be at this point revenue neutral. We are saving money in the allocation of the funds that we are paying for the captain.
Okay.
Our payments to the city will be less. However, we are training additional officers in addition to hiring a full-time airport security manager that will be full-time airport staff.
Okay. And
So it seems to be revenue neutral at this point.
so if you're to summarize the overall benefit that this would provide, what would you say that would be to the
Internal
airport?
control of our
Okay.
airport security team.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any opposed? Seeing none, item number 8 is approved. Next is item number 9. This is to approve a professional services agreement with Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company Incorporated to provide construction documents for the building 680 pavement replacement project in an amount not to exceed $43,912.
This will be Mr. Gibbs.
Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. This project would entail as you can see on the screen behind you, there's a large section of pavement that has failed, and it happens to be an important entry point onto the airport. This is where all of the trucks that move goods back and forth across the airport enter, and it's the pavement has essentially failed and getting worse every day. We saw this coming, budgeted for it in the fiscal year, and went through an evaluation process of qualified firms, from which Burns and McDonnell was selected to provide the best value, understanding, and ability to deliver the project. The project would be in the amount of $43,912, and staff recommends approval of this contract.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gibbs? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any opposed? Seeing none, item number 9 is approved. Next is item number 10, approve the form of a lease agreement with Air Methods Corporation for Executive Hangar number 2. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. This This proposed lease is with a company called Air Methods, commonly referred to as Mercier. They've been on and off the airport for about 20 years now. This happened to be with us the longest time now than any period in the past, and now want to consolidate their operations here at the San Bernardino International Airport. They happen to be the largest company of the type, the largest operator of helicopters in the United States with nearly 500 helicopters. And they want to consolidate in the largest of the new general aviation box hangars, which is located on the northeast end of the airport. Ms. Scholl's going to get a new neighbor. So we're excited to have them. The key lease terms is it's a 7-year lease with a 2-year option with annual CPI adjustments and $10 million in insurance and up to $90,000 in rent credits for certain approved improvements to the hangar. And staff recommends approval of this item.
The rent credits would be amortized over what period of time?
So the improvements would have to take place in the first 2 years of the lease, and they would extend through the remaining term of the lease. So up to 7 years, up to the first 7 years of the lease.
So it would offset the rent?
It would offset 50% of the rent over the initial term of the lease.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions?
No, that answers
You have a motion?
it. I'll make the
Did-
motion.
You moved?
Yeah, I moved.
Oh, okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any opposed? Seeing none, so ordered. Next is item number 11, is approval of the item to authorize the procurement of a used airport sweeper vehicle in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
I'll move the item.
We have a motion. We have a second? We have a motion and a second.
And when we have more time, Mr. Nick will give us more reports.
Thank you. Thank you
But
for that.
you had a very thorough staff report that pretty much explains everything, so.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no opposition, it is so ordered. Next is item number 12, update and review of the action plan. Mr. Burrows.
I'll save you a step because you're already doing it in your own organizations. Budget comes next, and strategic plan will be right there with it at your next meeting in June. Concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Not?
Can we get the meetings to run this quickly and in the closed session?
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned until June
27th.
June 27th? Thank you.